Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, seen Wednesdays on the Sports Collectors Daily Facebook page and the Great American Collectibles Facebook page. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by the National Sports Collectors Convention and Sports Collectors Daily. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now your hosts, Tom Zappala and Boston sports personality, John Mallory.
And we are here on the Great American Collectibles Show. The headline is, there's no Zap. There's no Tom Zappala this week. Tom's on some family stuff. We wish him the best, him and his family. But I'm well fortified today. I feel really good about this show. I needed 2 pages of topics because Zap talks so damn much on the program that I have to fill it without his voice here. So joining me first in studio, our buddy Paul Borges from PB Collectibles, good friend of the show, my man. It's nice to have you here.
Good to see you. And Dan,
making the trip up to Salem, New Hampshire from Newport, Rhode Island. And before the show, you had a chance to meet our buddy Dan Wolkan from Memory Lane Inc. I got a great auction going on now. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on at PB Collectibles. You are all over the place. People are calling you with stuff. You're traveling a lot. So
it's been good.
We're going to get into that. And a little bit later on in the show, Danny surprised us with this before we went on the air. We're going to actually open up. I'm going to call it like a collectibles mystery box.
A mystery box.
That Dan received at Memory Lane. We're going to open it up right live on the air after the first break. So hang in with that. Chrissy is at the controls here.
Hi.
I feel really good about not having
introduced.
Tom Zappala here this week. I feel really good about the show. I think this could be the award one.
Yeah, I think we got it.
This is the one.
Should you wear your hat backwards?
I should wear my hat backwards. I should have grown the I should have grown the goatee.
Yeah.
I should have aged 20 years. You're right.
If you could,
I definitely should have done that. I want to get into what's going on in your business and in your business, Dan. But first, I kind of want to just talk a little bit about something we were talking before we went on. Sometimes you're talking before the show and good ideas come up. And you guys are sort of in the same business, but you kind of do it differently. You have the actual storefront, the retail store. Dan, of course, Memory Lane, one of the biggest auction houses in the business. You both certainly interact with people, but I think you interact in different ways. So I want to kind of start that up, get a kind of a free-flowing conversation. So, and I want to start with, we mentioned we're going to open up this box later, how things come to you or how you get items. We're going to start with you, Dan. I know you guys I'm sure you get tons of calls at Memory Lane, you and the group over there, but let's start that going here with that.
Daily. We get calls daily, and I think it all has to do with spend your money. If you're an auction house and you want to get a lot of followers, you want to get people that are going to consign to you, don't be scared to spend the money because money makes money. And, I've always, said that say. It's one of my favorite sayings, I would say, is that make money, make money. So it's like you have to utilize it as the seed to the forest and grow it. So if we're spending a lot on advertising, we're spending on brochures that we're going to throw into the boxes of the people that win items. It's just reinvesting the money. And I think that's where we've, been in the business for, over 2 decades and over 50 auctions later, with full color catalogs. A lot of people say, hey, why are you doing a catalog? There are some auction companies that don't do catalogs. And, to us, unfortunately, no offense to the buyer, but the buyer is not our guy. The seller is our guy, and we have to work with the seller. So, we want to present their material in the best way possible. And I think having that catalog and holding it, our audience is not 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds. That's not our Pokemon audience.
Yeah.
Our audience is the 40, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. And, they want to hold even into the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s. They want to hold their old school and they want to hold a catalog. So it's important to spend that money. And we see a great return because, we do it the old Tiffany's way. It's
it's funny. It's funny just hearing you say that because everybody said I opened my shop 5 years ago, but I've been doing shows and stuff for about 40 years. Yeah. So I've been out and about, but everybody said, you're crazy. It's the internet, the internet, the internet. But actually by having the brick and mortar has been that's what's skyrocketed it.
Yeah, and even if it's the smallest thing, even if, and I know you're making a lot more than this, But even if it pays the rent,
Right.
even if it pays the rent and keeps it open, it's the opportunity of getting the Wagner or the Lajoie or any T206 cards or any contracts or locals. I mean, you have so many teams there.
Right.
So you could get someone who worked at the Garden or worked at, wherever, that's going to come to you with stuff.
It's interesting that, you mentioned the catalog. And again, we're talking with Danny Wolkan from Memory Lane Inc. In studio with me is PB, Paul Borges from PB Collectibles in Newport, Rhode Island. And, like you said, it's all electronic now. It's all the internet. It's all cyberspace. But having that hands-on contact, right, the catalog, people still like to look through the catalog. And PB, we'll kind of turn to you in this because just before the show, you got a call from someone that had an interesting item. You said maybe on your way back, you're going to go to Connecticut to check it out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the process for you, how customers come to you, how potential items come to you.
Well, Dan, it's so important to be out at different shows and so forth to get your name out, and you put your, I put my little shingle out there that I have a storefront in Newport,
right?
And it starts to build a little bit of credibility. I also had in Rhode Island a little local TV show do a little spot on the store, and that really helped. And it just starts building this credibility factor, if you will. And so by being out at shows and meeting people and tourists that come into Newport in the summertime, of meeting different people, passing out just business cards, just keep passing them. And the phone starts to ring and you get noted and people start to like you. The likability factor is sky high. Some product knowledge and a little money behind it. And the next thing you know, you're starting to get calls on things, and this is who I want to see. And it's been great on a much smaller level.
Yeah, but you talked about business cards, and people are like, why do you still have a business card? People I have plenty of business. I have them in my car, in my wallet, in my office, upstairs. I mean, in the vault. I mean, literally what people want, and it's your presentation. I grew up in New York. When I moved to LA in '94, and I'll make this part real quick, I worked at Warner Brothers, and then I became an independent producer and did film stuff. I made sure I couldn't even afford it. I was like 26. I couldn't afford it, but I still made business cards that had the silver embossing because it's your image and what you put in.
Absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely.
I love the idea of business cards.
You guys bring different sensibilities to the collectibles world, to the hobby. Danny, you just mentioned what you did, and I was familiar with your work, in the past, all the things you did in film and things like that. Obviously, you still do a lot of TV, Pawn Stars, things like that. And PB is an educator. You teach marketing, sales, communications at Salve Regina down in Rhode Island. Yep. Both you guys, and we'll start with you, PB. What has your other job brought to your business as a collectibles guy?
Well, we teach sales, and I teach sales, marketing, communication at Salve, and it's been a lot of fun in the sense of I always like to listen to my students for different ideas that they might have, because obviously
different generation, too, younger audience, right?
Much younger audience. Yeah. Hey, what do you?
A lot younger than you, right?
Yeah, a lot. Unfortunately.
Listen, I'm getting withdrawal pains. I have to do an old man joke to some. He's only like 3 years older than me, by the way.
So Zappola, so for Tom Zapp, it's 80, then 60, then 50.
Yeah.
I love you, Tom.
Exactly.
But it's been a lot of fun, and the kids here that I have a shop, they bring stuff in, and I think we talked about it just for a brief minute before the show started, the 80-20 rule of, we've got some really old cards and they're 40 years old and they're 1991 Flair baseball or something,
Right.
I mean, you're going to get that, but when the 20 comes in, the 20's real good, and that's what makes it.
Yeah. No, correct.
Danny, how about you? Your vast experience, entertainment world. You've done a lot of different things, business. I mean, what are your outside interests, either past or present, bring to you with your daily work at Memory Lane?
I always knew as a kid, follow your passion. What I did wrong when I was younger, I learned that you do not chase the money. Like, I did a short film. I won film festivals. Holy cow, I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. I whacked 5 credit cards. I was like $27K in debt, and finally realize that, and at a later age, like I was 28 when I realized you follow your passion, you don't follow the money, and the money chases you.
Yeah.
So, I got into this with a grandfather that owned a candy store in the Bronx, and he would bring us cards as kids. So went from cards and my brothers chewing the gum to me collecting and then organizing and then buying rookie cards in the 80s and not doing my homework, which I still think kids should do their homework. But I found a passion.
Yeah.
I found a passion, in what I love. So it spiraled from there, and then did shows, and then moved out to California. And the only way I could have moved out here to work in the film industry was to sell I collected Jordan. So I would collect doubles for years.
Sure. Yeah.
It was my plan and my seed money. So when I got out to California, before I went there from New York, I decided I'm going to sell all my doubles. So that went for like $4,500. So at the time, I had like 6 months worth of rent where I could get out here, be comfortable, find a job, and luck. It was a lot of luck. But what I really understood is that luck, another thing, luck is the outcome of hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you're going to get.
As Red Auerbach said, luck is where success meets opportunity, right? I mean, right. I mean, that's exactly. So, I mean, it's that's the way it is. I mean, and Danny, you must have memories. A lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers, you mentioned they kind of run the gamut in age, but that probably skews a little bit older, And I know, looking back, like my first memories was going to the local card shop, and I look at him as like there aren't as many as there used to be. I can remember in the 90s, I was doing a local show here in the Boston area about cards and comics, and every block had a cards and comics store. I want you to talk about your business and what it is, but I want to tap into you first, Danny. What are your memories as a kid when you started collecting? I'm sure that's where you went too, was the local card shop, right?
Great memory. I was about 12 years old in upstate New York. They still have the card shows at the Albany Polish Community Center. And I started the collection when I was real young. It was worth about $400. I told my father, you throw in 400 cash, we'll spend it. We'll buy more cards. We'll double the value of our collection.
That's cool.
And we'll go 50-50. So we started a little business, and then ended up setting up at shows for like $35 a table. And from there, I would scour the common boxes because I would read that newspaper, Baseball Americana or Baseball America.
Yeah,
and
right.
Like Darryl Strawberry, Roger Clemens, Good, Lynchburg Mets, Pawtucket Red Sox, and I would buy these cards. Tony Gwynn, was coming up, and I buy these cards for like a nickel, and all these dealers hated me because I did my research, and I would take all their, like, let's say they had 11 Roger Clemens. I would take all of them, and those box people who were putting sets together, the set builders, and these people that came over that were buying all these cards from these dealers couldn't build their sets because I was taking all the rookie cards and the prospects I thought would blow up. So
even back then, you were trying to dominate the marketplace.
Right. So
you're like 8 years old. He's already.
You sell it for $1, and you're like, I'm like, Mom, I don't even need, any type of allowance. What, $2 or $3? I was already making that on 3 cards. So,
and listen, I have to correct myself. We're in New England. I cannot misquote Red Auerbach. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. That's what Red Auerbach says, not success. I cannot misquote Red in the Boston area. They'll kill me, PB. So what is the retail card business like now? Do you have competition in your area, other card stores in that region, or what's it like?
There are a few other card shops in Rhode Island, just a couple. But you know what? I find it, if you ever were, well, you guys are definitely coming down. Dan, you're always welcome to come down to Newport. It's a beautiful place to visit.
Have you been to Newport, Rhode Island?
I have.
It is
one of the great spots in the Northeast, for sure.
It's Beverly Hills, Rhode Island.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah. But it's I designed that card shop. It's a very small spot, but I'm a card guy. I'm not a wax guy. And I think that's the big difference of my card shop over my competitors, if you will, friendly competitors and so forth, is I have wax because you have to have it, but my focus is if you're looking for a 67 Rod Carew, you can give me a call and I'm going to have that.
Right.
And if you're looking for some of the newer prospects, I have it, but I really focus more towards the vintage side. But I have to have it for the younger collector.
For sure, for sure.
But it's interesting that I talk about this in some of my marketing classes, and we always talk about target markets, and everybody asks, well, what is your target market? And honestly, it's so wide-ranging today. That target market can start at somebody that's 13 years old to somebody that's 75 years old,
right?
Because it's so far-ranging depending on what they're looking for.
Yes, yeah. It's
Danny,
a whole gamut.
We talked about, the similarities that you both have in your businesses, and you talked about customer service and dealing with people. We were talking before the show, and an interesting point came up. How do you communicate? Both you guys can jump in on this. We can start with you, PB. How do you tell someone who's really excited to bring you their cards into your shop? They really think they've hit the gold mine. How do you nicely and diplomatically tell them it's not worth anything, dude?
I think
how do you do that?
I think the best way to put it is, I'm like a doctor, and you have good bedside manner. Some doctors don't have good bedside manner, and some do. And sometimes you just got to tell them the truth. I mean, that's basically what you got to tell them is, and they can look for themselves,
Right.
And see the prices and so forth. And I kind of just show them a few prices that have come in. They see it, and they're like, well, I wish it were something different. That's all you can do.
How about you, Danny?
They think that everything they have is scarce.
Of course, yeah.
You just have to explain that the stuff was mass-produced. And exactly what Paul said is just being black and white, being transparent, and letting them know that, their stuff is junk. I mean, in a nice way, to not get your hopes up, and if you come in because that stuff was mass-produced. And, if they have a Honus Wagner, you tell them that's junk also, so you can rip them off. So,
that's lousy.
It's too small. It's only a third the size of a regular card. You can barely see it.
Yeah, what is that?
So, I love that part, because if they bring in good stuff, it's exciting to tell them, because we're going to want it for our auction. If they need money, we'll give them an advance. If they want to sell it outright, we also are transparent in a way where what we say is, you will leave money on the table, but you'll get it 100 days earlier. So if you feel that you want to use it to buy something else, that's to your discretion. But, you just got to kind of lay it on the table and tell it like it is. And
yeah, Danny, we're going to talk more about this as the show goes on. And we should mention you have your Spring Rarities auction going right now at Memory Lane. Ends May 4th, 7 o'clock Eastern time. You have to have your bids in by then.
Correct.
Couple minutes left in this segment. Just give us a couple of highlights, some things that are really neat, some cool stuff that is out there. I have some things written down I'm going to ask you about, but talk about the auction, how it's going, and what's there.
It's going really well. The market's great. What's really interesting is that you would think it'd be on a little bit of a downslide, because money is worth so much these days. You're making 5, 6, 7% in the bank. So, if you're going to spend 10 grand on something, in a couple of years, you really spent like 11.3 or 11.2, based on the interest. So I'm not saying people have slowed up in buying. It's still strong. It's a little less strong, but we've got a really, a lot of different items in the auction. We've got a lot of cool memorabilia, Michael Jordan stuff, like a chair from the playoffs that was courtside, to autographed jersey, and cells from Space Jam, to Babe Ruth autographs. And
so you have a seat. You said you have a seat from the.
Yeah, it's a Chicago Bulls,
and it's signed by. Is it signed by Jordan? Or
actually, it's not signed.
Okay,
but it's a really cool. It was a courtside seat.
Wow.
That was actually used during. Here, I'll show you. This is the catalog.
Oh wow! All right. Gotcha. Okay,
it's beautiful.
Nice.
So
nice.
Really neat. But we've got. We have a 34 Tour Japan baseball with.
I saw that.
Autographs.
Yeah, Ruth is on that, right?
Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Moberg, who was the spy who went over there, went to Princeton, and then went over there.
Yeah.
So a lot of really cool items. And what we love is that, the majority is baseball, which is what the majority of people love. But we've got something for everyone. From non-sports, we've got, canceled checks signed by Orville Wright or Orson Welles.
That's cool.
Or, there's a bunch at the end of the catalog. There's a bunch of presidential autographs that, like a letter from James Buchanan, and just neat stuff for everyone to kind of jump in.
The Orville Wright stuff must really be taken off.
Yes.
The presidential.
Once again, in honor of Zappala, bad humor. Just I gotta have to keep his memory alive on the show.
You got to throw that in there.
The presidential stuff is really hot, isn't it?
You know, it's hot if you got the right items. You know, if you have there, we do have like Jimmy Carter and Gerald, Ford. They're not as expensive, but what's cool is that they're affordable for like. I had a kid. The greatest story in the world. I had a kid who came to me at a show, and he said, "Hey, you have any presidential?" And I'm like, the kid was 12. So I actually had an album. He's looking through it, and he saw a Reagan letter, and he's doing a report on Reagan in school. He said, "How much is that?" I said, $800. He's like, "All right, I'll take that. What else do you have?" And I'm like, what? In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, Dad's money. He's just getting the file he wants. I said, "What do you collect?" He said, "Oh, I collect T206s and 49 Bowmans." And I'm like, seriously? And I said, "Why? Like what?" He's like, "That's the vintage. I like how the Bowman cards are perfectly square. And what I do is I buy and sell that stuff, and I use my profit to buy."
That's crazy.
That's how I got in it.
Guys, we're gonna hit a break here. When we come back, we're gonna have our Gax blast from the past, and we're gonna do a little show and tell. We're gonna open a box. Danny hasn't even seen any of this stuff in it. We're gonna open it live.
Can't wait.
And you brought some stuff in the show as well. Yep. So a little Gax blast from the past, a little show and tell. We'll be right back on the Great American Collectibles Show.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the industry leader when it comes to helping you realize the most money for your baseball cards and sports memorabilia. In addition to their unparalleled reputation for honesty and integrity, they reach the largest number of bidders in the business and offer lower seller's fees, as well as generous cash advances up front on your valuable material. Contact them today at 908-226-9900. That's 908-226-9900 or at robertedwardauction.com.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Are you a collector looking for that rare trading card or autographed ball or photo? If so, then PB Collectibles in Newport is the place for you. PB Collectibles has graded cards, raw cards, complete sets, and wax boxes of the stars of the future, today, and from the past. We also offer a large selection of both vintage and modern cards. So whether you're looking to add to your collection or sell it, visit us at PB Collectibles, 269 Spring Street in Newport, located across from St. Mary's Church. We are your neighborhood card shop and much more.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUsedBats.com.
And we are back here on the Great American Collectibles Show. John Mallory is kind of solo in terms of the actual hosts of the show. Zap is doing some family stuff. So we're trying to keep the ship afloat without him. It's not easy. He is the captain of the ship. I'm going to give him credit for that. I mean, the ship's run aground a few times, but he is the captain.
He is.
So we do have to give him respect for that. But I am ably joined by two great friends of the program, guys that we love very much. Just great at what you do. Danny Wokan's joining us from Memory Lane Inc. and, of course, our buddy PB, Paul Borges from PB Collectibles, which brings us to the Gax Blast from the Past, which, by the way, is brought to you by our good friend Paul Borges and PB Collectibles, your neighborhood card shop. Go to pbcollectibles.com to find that special card or piece of memorabilia. And this week's Gax Blast from the Past is a thrilling one for all Red Sox fans of all ages. Either you saw it or you've read about it. So let's check it out.
This is the height of pennant fever, which has gripped this frenzied town, but somehow they just know it. This team won't let them down.
Hit to Andrews. Tags Eulander for one to throw to first in time. A double play. Now as Rich Rollins moves to the plate to face Jim Lonborg. Little soft pop-up. Petrocelli will take it. He does. The ball game is over. The Red Sox win it. And what a mob on this field. They're coming out of the stands from all over. They're just mobbing Jim Lonborg, and what a day this is. Azona Tomyaki, along with Haywood Sullivan, and what excitement we have here in Fenway Park. The stands are just unloading. They're out on the field to grab their heroes as they try to work their way to the dugout.
And that, of course, was 1967. That was the moment the Red Sox clinched. At that moment, really at least a tie for the American League pennant. They needed some other things to happen, which did later on that night. Great video of them in the locker room later on, covered in shaving cream, just going nuts. That was really the start of, what here in New England we call Red Sox Nation.
Yep.
That's where it all began. You're joking earlier, a little older than I. I was only like 2 when that happened. You have about 3-4 years on me.
I was 5.
Do you recall that? I mean, I know you were just 5, but
not really. I can't say that I do. But what's funny is about '67. I was telling this to Tom last week. Mr. D'Angelo, who owned the Souvenir shop across the street, just passed away this past year. Twins. And I remember going in there on a rain-soaked day. I was taking the kids on a tour of Fenway Park. And so I went in there, and he was sitting in his big baseball glove chair, and I started talking to him, and he said, I said, wow, this must be amazing, and how much fun it must be. And he goes, it was tough at first, but when 1967 hit, it's been lights out ever since.
Oh, yeah.
So
no, I mean, the
him.
history, and I mean, Red Sox fans know, baseball fans
started
know.
it.
I mean, that was
Wasn't
previous.
that the year that Yaz was Triple Crown winner?
Yeah, Triple Crown winner. I mean, we just witnessed a great run for the Red Sox, the David Ortiz, the 4 titles and all that. Well, 3 with Ortiz, but, Ortiz did it, and he certainly now goes down as one of the most clutch players in the history of the game. The guy just came through time after time, but I've interviewed a lot of the guys from that team, including, by the way, our own Rico, co-host of this show, who caught that pop-up to end that game and win that game. And what Yaz did that year, Danny, it was one of the great, and these are people outside Boston will say it's one of the great seasons of all time. And I guess that month of September, a lot of baseball experts, astute baseball people say it might have been the greatest month that any ball player ever had in the history of the game, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he just, every time they needed a hit, Yaz got a hit, and he ended up winning the Triple Crown that year. So great moment in Red Sox history. Once again, our Gax Blast from the Past brought to you by our good friend Paul Borges and PB Collectibles, your neighborhood card shop. Go to pbcollectibles.com to find that special card or piece of memorabilia. And if you're down in Newport, pop in the store and say hi.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Absolutely.
All right, this is going to be fun. You brought some stuff to show, but we want to get to our buddy Dan from Memory Lane Inc. And by the way, their Spring Rarities auction is going on right now. Ends May the 4th. Get your bids in by 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But Dan has I'll let you explain. You got a box of stuff that someone sent you.
I have
Take it. You got it. Yeah.
A consignor sent some stuff, and it's interesting because he said, I'll just surprise you on stuff. And usually if someone's going to surprise us, the stuff is not that great. I'm not going to mention the consignor.
So is this a consignor you've dealt with before, Danny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's actually a really great guy.
All right.
And this stuff is very, very well packed. So
this is cool. This is as it's happening.
We need a cameraman.
We should.
It's a big box, so
I'm gonna have you use your judgment of what you show. So
yeah,
I'm going to open this up, and I feel like
it's pretty neat because we're actually watching Dan do his job right now. Like this is what Dan does, right?
It's like this is like Christmas Day. He's opening his presents.
Oh
right,
man,
right.
There's a lot of packages within the packages here. So
yeah, but this is definitely not going to take too long. Otherwise, Tom will say, "What the hell were you guys doing?"
We're freewheeling here, Zap. Listen, you left Zap, all right? So this is what we got.
It's 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes left. We'll get to it.
You must get a lot of people bringing stuff into the store, though, too, PB, right?
This
what do we got?
This is pretty cool.
Look at that. All right.
Boxing Forum. And it's signed by Blanco and let's see, Arturo Lamel.
All right, so basically it's a boxing schedule for a night of fights, yeah. And there's Jack Johnson. Wow, look at that, huh?
Jack Johnson. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty neat stuff. Does this person usually have a lot of boxing stuff, Danny?
He had a boxing collection.
Yeah.
So it's some other oddball type pieces. Joey Gantz.
Oh man,
that's an old
Pristine Auction. It's a family-owned and
I
operated.
mean, we're going way back with that, huh?
Yeah. So that's that, and then I'm going to open up this huge box.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
Even more.
For those of you who are just listening to us, there's a lot of boxing memorabilia. We're opening a box basically live that one of the consigners from Memory Lane sent to Dan. So it's pretty neat stuff.
I'll tell you what, if Paul wants to show the stuff he brought,
why don't we do that? Why don't you bring your stuff out while Danny's getting that open? This is really cool. This is really cool.
This just came into the shop last week from the groundskeeper who's a friend of mine, who's worked at Newport Country Club for over 45,
Newport, Rhode
50
Island,
years.
Yeah.
And these are the actual flags from the U.S. Amateur in 1995, signed by Tiger Woods. These are actually from the pin. So this is hole 8. And then there is hole, I don't know, am I putting it up right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got
16.
it. Yeah, there you go.
And signed by Tiger in 1995.
So
it's actually
give me the
backstory
backstory on this. How did this gentleman get these and get them signed, too?
So a friend of mine, as I mentioned, does the grounds out at Newport Country Club, and he's been there forever. And he was working that day. He did the grounds throughout the tournament in 95. And he grabbed the flags right out of the pit, right out of the holes. And he ran up to Tiger, and Tiger didn't want to sign them.
This was pre-Masters 97.
He was 19 years old.
Yeah, right. Right.
And so this is his second ever championship. And because he won the first one the year before, so back to back.
People were starting to hear of him, but he hadn't really broken big time
but he,
yet.
He didn't want to sign him, and my buddy said, "Hey, Tiger, I was the one who cut the greens. I did everything." He goes, "Oh, then I got to sign him." And he signed them.
So out of respect to the guy who did the work.
It's a really, really pretty cool piece.
So are you going to sell those in the store? What are you going to do with them?
Right now, I'm just kind of holding them. We're going to mat and frame them.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of hold on to them for now.
All right.
I've gotten the letters from GSA are going to be coming in the mail.
Yeah.
But just two really, cool. Who would have ever thought? It just walks in, hey, I got these.
That's crazy.
And
crazy.
The story behind it. So yeah, just something kind of cool. So,
Danny, you got some stuff?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. Okay.
Wow. All right.
So
here we go.
There's a 2022 Prism Ronald Acuna in a Gem Mint 10.
Okay.
But what's neat is that here's a mantle run. 56 mantle in a 5.
Wow.
54 Bowman in a 6.
Nice.
Oh, man.
68 in an 8. A 57 in an 8. Look at that.
Not bad, huh?
Oh,
Jordan.
yeah.
Wow.
Jordan,
10
yeah.
auto with a 9.5. This is from the SB Signatures. An Ozzie Smith rookie in an 8. Toughest card to get centered. We all know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A bunch of other. I remember this like it was yesterday. An 8 graded strawberry in a 10.
Sure. Yeah.
And then autographs of Trae Young and Tyrese Maxey and
mixed bag there of vintage and modern,
all over, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
LeBron
nice.
PSA 10 rookie.
Wow.
The Bowman. Is that a chrome? Is that a chrome?
We have the chrome, but this is the Bowman.
Yep, the Bowman paper. Yep.
Hey,
yeah,
great stuff.
Danny, your view on what Paul just showed. Overview, where is Tiger Woods? I assume he's pretty high ranking in the hobby. And, an article or something like that, on the value.
Right now, we've got a 97 Masters badge in the auction. It's a 10 auto.
Yep.
It's graded a 9, and it's the bid right now, I think, is at 8,500.
Okay.
And we've got some magazines at Tiger, vintage, some flags that are signed by Tiger. His stuff, it's like it doesn't matter how he in my opinion, it doesn't matter how he performs on the green. There's still demand when you have the Babe Ruth of golf. There's still.
I think he's I feel like Tiger Woods still is. I know he's on the downside of it, but he's like the logo of golf. When you mention golf, everybody can relate to Tiger Woods.
Yeah, household name.
Well, even go ahead, Danny.
I'm like a kid in a candy store. It's like here I'm on the show, and I'm still like looking at these. I got a swell. It's a swell set with the Jackie Robinson rookie.
Nice. Oh man!
If they consider it, and it's SGC, which now SGC is owned by PSA.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this never gets old.
Right?
Oh, especially
it's unbelievable.
Especially opening it and looking. I'm envious of just what you're doing.
I mean, Dan, this is like your professional version of when you were a kid talking about going to the card shows or buying a pack, right, and opening up and getting your favorite player, right?
But it's not even my stuff.
It really is. Just looking through that, I can like the excitement of it.
Is this the usual? Because look at that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Beaver, it's a 5, but still, it's
I know.
Tough card to find.
It's kind of a mix in there from this particular consignor. Is that the usual fare for this person?
Well, from him, he does collect a lot of stuff that's, all types, like from Mahomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole bag of stuff. But the greatest part about it is that it's even this UNC letter C. That's signed by Jordan. There's another one signed by Jordan. So, but to answer your question, yes, it's that. There you go. Another 63.
I love that card.
At the 6, but still, it's the aesthetics to some of this stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't like this guy. That serious. Like when I say I'm really serious, he's talked so much about the Yankees. I don't like Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Oh yeah. Right.
Not a fan. But look at this, Steph. Look at this, Steph Curry.
Oh,
nice.
See,
yeah.
Boy, what a mixture, huh?
He is.
That's
you're right.
Mix
a mixed
stuff
bag
there.
of stuff.
That's pretty.
That's
neat.
from one consigner.
Yeah.
Wow, it is a
really
mix.
Cool.
PB, we talked a little bit about, and we'll talk more about what Dan has in the at Memory Lane, MemoryLaneInc.com. Correct, Danny?
Correct. Yeah.
MemoryLaneInc.com. There's Spring Rarities auction going on now through May 4th at 7 Eastern time. What's happening? What's hot and happening at PB Collectibles in your store? Things you're finding, travels, and all that. Talk about that.
I told you that we got a phone call. I got a phone call just before we were about to come on the air. I didn't take it. I said I'd call him after the show.
Yep.
He has. I met him at a show in Massachusetts. This customer, and he had some really good stuff, and it was all raw. And I said, to be honest with you, we should have this all graded, which he did. Now the stuff is back at his house, so he's going to call me, and hopefully it looks like.
But you're busy. You're always moving. Yeah. It seems like you're always getting calls, moving out and moving around.
Bought a big collection out in Peoria, Illinois, 2 months ago. Sad story. The guy who owned the collection died in an Uber accident. Uber driver actually killed himself with him in the car, drove straight in.
What?
So I ended up getting this call to purchase his collection. It took me 2 trips out to Peoria, flew out there twice, but unbelievable collection of from vintage to modern. And,
wow.
We took out a big U-Haul truck and drove it all back.
Yeah.
Do
you run the gamut of items in addition to cards, or is it mostly cards with you, or is it memorabilia?
For me, my
photos or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a lot of photos and autograph stuff, but for the most part, I'm more of a card guy, and the only reason being is that I just don't have the room to display it. So that's probably the biggest issue. But certainly, we love autograph material, especially good.
You can never have enough room.
Yeah.
Oh my! Like we own a building with 2 walk-in vaults, and we still need more room.
I know. So you get a couple storage units full of stuff, and it's like
right.
Yeah,
Dan, I was on your site, and some of those Sporting Life cabinet cards were kind of standing out. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Those cabinet cards are so condition sensitive, and I'll tell you, I know that people are. I'm like rummaging through these boxes.
Yeah, I know.
We got a show to do here, Dan.
That's all right. We love this.
What lot in particular were you looking at?
I was looking at just the general the Sporting Life cabinet card as a brand. I want to know a little bit more on the history on that, if you know it.
I'm going to be transparent. I don't.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about the Sporting Life. What I do now, you're talking about they're like the W600s, like the WAG.
Yes.
And I mean, condition sensitive is kind of what I started off in saying, that those they're like pastels. They're like pieces of art. And I think along with those and the turkey reds, like it's just people are buying art.
Yes.
And
those are art.
Think that's what gravitates people towards that. And they're so tough to find in good condition. I think that's where, I stop as far as knowing a lot of the back of that stuff.
Gotcha.
But they're beautiful. And you know what? What's great about our hobby is that it's okay to not know everything, because it's so nice that when you do research it and start to read about it, it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
About where these cards.
And you're going to get stuff in, both you guys, that even though you guys are experts in the field, it's your livelihood, it's what you do, you're not going to know you're not going to be able to recognize. I mean, you're going to be like, wait, what's this?
It's funny, Dan, we were talking about it before we went online. And on today, you have that the 41 Lou Gehrig ticket. And I was mentioning that I had 2 that
Let's pick this up after the break, because I know you both kind of have a similar item on that. I want to talk about that. We are going to take a break, Chrissy, and we're going to be right back with more of the Great American Collectibles Show in a moment.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you are a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
And so we ask, how does your company or organization do promotions? Imprinted products keeps your brand in front of your customers more than any other form of advertising. For the best on-time service and new ideas for your next project, give Petroselli Marketing Group a call at 603-880-3202 or email info@petrosellimkt.com. So I have to put on the good voice here, PB, with Danny Wokan in the house. When Danny's in the house, or Mike Pro from Heritage,
oh my God,
those are the best two voices in the business. So I have to kind of put on the voiceover mix just to hang out. Listen, while we were in break, I don't know if you put it away now, Dan, but can you just show that? I know it's not a great view of it, but show about that Willie Mays one, the catch, right?
Yeah, this is it's the 59 Topps Thrills, baseball Thrills subset of the 59 set.
Yeah,
and every single card is
so cool.
Every single card is signed.
So neat.
That pays, and then
man, wow,
and then everybody else: Musial and Snyder and Banks and Aaron, Colavito, Severs, Pierce, Kaline. I mean,
you know what's funny when I look at those cards. I was just out at Shriners this weekend, and all these people are paying all this money for autographs of these recent stars, whatever. And their autographs are just terrible. I look at those; they're just iconic.
They're great,
beautiful saves.
Yeah, they're great.
And you made a great point. Like in a nutshell, you talk about people that go to card shows, they meet the person, they get the autograph, they spend the $400. They come to you at a show, and they say to you, "How much are you paying for a David Ortiz ball?" $1.25. What are you talking about? I paid $400. I want $500 for it. Listen, buddy, you paid to meet the guy as a meet and greet. Look at the market; it's worth a lot less.
That's right.
So true. It's
and they're like so novice-ish, and they think they're going to get $800 for a ball that's worth $1.25.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know we could do a whole show on it, but how about that whole fiasco with Tom Brady autographs?
Oh,
did you hear about that out there, Dan?
Oh, I'm telling you. Tom, again, in a nutshell, real quick, Tom, I hate to say this, they kind of deserved what they got, and I'll tell you why. They knew underhandedly that they were not going to pay Fanatics $10,000 to get their game used stuff signed, so they decided to spend the $3,600 to pull the wool over Brady's eyes. What he did was wrong. It was weak. It was really weak.
So people that don't know, this was an event where people that where people in the business went, and they were going to get Brady, and Brady's autographs were like just scribbles. You can't even tell that it's a Tom Brady autograph.
They're not even being authenticated.
Yeah.
Then no one.
So they're pretty ticked off right now. Yeah.
Beyond, because that's kind of defacing, things that are
they had all this game-worn stuff that cost a lot of money to get in the first place, and now it's essentially kind of ruined, right?
Yeah, he could have brought up the idea of why he was like that they really shouldn't have brought that stuff, but he'll sign it anyways, and he should have given him a good graph.
Yeah.
But as far as what he did, not great. But it's interesting how, they tried to, fly under the radar and pull a fast one on him. And he's like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah. We are talking remotely with Dan Wokan from Memory Lane Inc. and also in studio, PB, Paul Borges from PB Collectibles, a great card and collectibles store down in Newport, Rhode Island. Danny, a little bit more on the Spring Rarities auction. We have a lot of time left, but I just wanted to get some more stuff in, things people can look for, highlights of the auction.
Yeah, there's a really cool contract signed by Roberto Clemente, and it's a Puerto Rican contract from '54. And he wasn't old enough to just sign it himself. So not only did his parents sign it, but it also has his thumbprints on it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's a really, really cool. And along with that, we've got a 3x5 signed by Clemente. We have a check signed by Roberto Clemente. And keep in mind, no one knew that this philanthropic person was going to pass away in donating all this money and food to Nicaragua. And so the check is dated 1972. I think it's December of 72, and he died, I think, December 31st, 72.
Yeah, New Year's
so
Eve.
they did find a little envelope. So there are only about 50 checks in the world that exist. So that's a really cool, really, really cool piece. I mean, there's a lot of autographed cards. It's also unopened wax. There's packs and boxes.
Yeah.
Great stuff. There's, a T206 set break, a Cracker Jack set break.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah.
They're really, for people fighting for the registry, there's a lot of stuff for them to fill in. Type 1 photos of like Jackie Robinson, signing with Branch Rickey, and the iconic Life magazine shot of Joe DiMaggio. That's from that magazine.
Oh,
it's the original photo used for that.
I noticed we talked about it just for a minute, the ticket. The Lou
Yes,
ticket.
let's get to that. Yes.
And from 1941, I had a couple come into my shop from a student at Salve, and I got them graded and stuff, and they came back good, 5 and a 4. And they were really clean. I saw yours was a 7. How is the ticket demand, do you find? I'm not familiar with it.
Not as hot as it used to be. I found out the real hard way on about probably 3 years ago when tickets were on fire. I bought a Gretzky debut for a client, ended up buying a package of tickets, and it cost $135. And I thought that, my client was going to get about $250, realizing that there was such a spike in tickets, and then they came down a lot. But I'm talking about Jordan debuts, Gretzky. But when you talk about Gehrig, go find another. And a 4, like you said, a grade of 4, the majority of the public's going to say a 4. That's a terrible grade. No, 4 is actually a high grade because these specifically sat in your wallet, in your pocket, in your back pocket.
Right.
You didn't know what the weather was.
It's funny.
So
I'm sorry. This student
go ahead.
pulled it out of a backpack. These tickets were pulled out of a backpack. Right. One got a 5, one got a 4. Right. It's crazy.
Those are high grade because because people either played with their baseball cards or they were smart enough, collected them, and put them in boxes.
Crazy.
Didn't have a chance with that with tickets. So the rarities are amazing.
Hey, do you notice, Danny? Did you notice the hat backwards in honor of our buddy Tom Zapp? By the way, but I'm making it sound like Tom's like sick or dead. By the way, he's fine. He's just traveling with his family.
No, we had to have it. You got to sit up.
He's just Zapp.
Yeah, and I just wanted to take a minute before we go off air.
Oh yes, yeah.
That I have a little gift for you. I saw Derek Grady walking at the last show.
Listen to this. Right.
Walking with a Great American Collectibles shirt, and I said, wow, I haven't been honored with one, and I kind of made mention to my buddy John because Tom wouldn't.
So I'm making good on.
So we're making a quick trade.
We're making
I've got
a quick jersey switch here, right?
Collectible sweatshirt,
right? And I get you a
and
nice
you
golf shirt.
And I've got a nice golf shirt.
And so
the Great American Collectibles show. So have it
that PB
Zap.
Collectible sweatshirt looks a lot cooler than that collectible.
Right. I don't like to say it, Dan.
I went with the golf shirt. Sorry, summer in Newport. I didn't think you'd need a sweatshirt.
That's hot.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And we're gonna take care. We're gonna take care of Chrissy too.
Chrissy's got one.
But Zap gets nothing. Yeah. He gets nothing because he never gave PB a shirt.
Never gave me.
Right.
I didn't even think of it. But Derek got one.
PB, let's talk a little bit. We have a couple minutes left. Just your website, where you are, what's going on with PB Collectibles.
We're at pbcollectibles.com. We're at 269 Spring Street in Newport, Rhode Island, directly across the street from where JFK got married, St. Mary's Church.
You mentioned that. How neat is that?
So it's really, when anybody ever says, hey, where are you located? Well, JFK got married there. So the history, and we're a standalone building. It's a brick. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
And it's about to become our busy season, Memorial Day to about Labor Day. We'll be lights out there at the shop.
Danny, we got to get you out here to go down to Newport. It's a nice place.
We'll have dinner.
I would love that. And I love that area. And I guarantee you we will be out there. I have to hit Connecticut soon in New York. So, and after, where am I from?
No, I said it will be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I grew up in Schenectady, so I love, I miss that the Four Seasons. But,
yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's after I get married in August, so it's after that.
Nice. Danny, talk about the Spring Rarities auction and Memory Lane Inc. in general, website and all.
You know, it's great with the business that we were talking about. You know, that people are spending money, but they might not be spending as much as they used to, based on we're getting such great interest rates. I mean, our country's upside down, and you can make 5 or 6%, you know, on your money. So, but the collector in people will always stay the collector, and they'll if they really need it, they'll buy it, they'll pay up, even if they can make a lot of money on their money in the bank. So the industry is great. We've been doing a bunch of private sales. That's a lot of our business, and we cultivate these people, these buyers, based on, what they're bidding on, and we see their buying trends and sets they're filling. So, Memory Lane really offers a real wide variety of, if you want the auction, if you want us to buy it outright, if you want to, have it sold privately, we'll work on a percentage.
Yep.
It's our passion. It's what we love. And I feel very grateful since the day I started this from a hobby to a business.
Yeah.
And, so it's great. And you can reach us at www.memorylaneinc.com. If you want to call us, 877-606-5263. And
get your bids in on the Spring Rarities auction by 7 Eastern time on May the 4th. Listen, both you guys, fantastic. Two of our favorites. Great show. MemoryLaneInc.com, PBCollectibles.com. Both you guys, thank you so much for being here with me. Really appreciate it.
Great show. Zap, it's unfortunate, but this is probably an Emmy Award-winning ticket.
But, we'll give him tribute, right? So in the words of our buddy Tom Zappola, thanks for joining us on the Great American Collectibles Show. And as Zap always says, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.